For generations, the people of Guam have felt the impact of outside military might. Since the 17th century, this small Pacific island has been captured by the Spanish, the Americans and the Japanese. It was retaken by the US at the end of the Second World War and remains a US territory. Today, American military bases take up a third of the island. Now the people of Guam are again bracing for a massive military intrusion. America's military planners have decided Guam will become a rapid response platform in the Pacific. 8,000 Marines and 9,000 family members will be transferred from Okinawa, Japan. There'll be a huge build-up of military hardware, including new Air Force surveillance capabilities, the hosting of nuclear aircraft carriers, and a ballistic missile defence task force.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the United States.
On a visit to Guam last year, Vice President Dick Cheney outlined the importance of the move for the United States.
By positioning forces on Guam, the United States can move quickly and effectively to protect our friends, to defend our interest, to bring relief in times of emergency, and to keep the sea lanes open to commerce and closed to terrorists. This island may be small, but it has tremendous importance to the peace and security of the world.
Guam is strategically located for US influence in the Pacific. Some analysts say the move is a counter to Chinese military growth in the region. At one of Guam's many tourist resorts, a cultural show by the indigenous people of Guam, the Chamorro, is underway. Years of colonisation have already diminished their numbers, and the military build-up has raised fears that the Chamorro culture and population will be further diluted.
I think we as a people will become extinct, because we're certainly on the endangered species list.
Debbie Quintana is a Maga Haga, a female leader of the Chamorro. She's not sure this tiny island of just 170,000 can cope with the military influx.
We have to be realistic. We are a very small island with limited resources, limited land space, for the love of Christ. I think the only thing that we are going to see with this buildup is a lot of misery. From towards the United States.
At this informal meeting of Chamorros held at a local marina, a common theme is a sense of powerlessness. Guam is in a unique political situation. It's an American territory, but neither the citizens or their elected representatives have full voting rights on the US mainland.
We will never be able to have any type of sovereignty as far as governing ourselves, because that is in conflict with the US.
It's like in our house, they don't respect us.
Al Lizama fought for America in Vietnam and is deeply unhappy about what's happening in his homeland.
It's just in the name that we are US citizen, but other than that, we're nothing. This is our island, this is our home. We have the fucking right to decide who's to come into our island and all this shit. But no, fucking America treat us like fucking worse than slave and all that.
Not only were the people not consulted, I think the government officials are not consulted. They are told.
Up at the governor's office in Guam, local officials are scrambling to prepare for the military build-up, a decision they had no part of.
Have we estimated the number of available workers that we would have either on Guam currently or within the region, CNMI?
It's estimated an extra 20,000 workers will be needed for construction, at least 16,000 more than Guam can provide.
If we think it's all going to be coming from the Philippines, that there's already a lot, exactly, there's significant competition with other areas such as in the Middle East and Dubai, and that's bringing all the skilled
Lieutenant
miners out
Governor
from
Michael
there.
Cruz is a Chamorro and a committed patriot who served for the US in Iraq. He's welcoming the military build-up, but is wary of the impact on locals.
A magnitude increase of 25%, which is about 40,000 people moving into our island in less than a decade, will prove to be a significant challenge to our infrastructure, to our environment, and through all the issues of life that affect our people.
The costs for the military build-up have been flagged at $15 billion US. But that's all money to be spent inside the military bases. The Governor's office is lobbying to get help for the community outside the fence line.
And this is a decision made above many echelons above us as a people here in Guam. But being patriotic Americans, we welcome and we're happy to be part of the tip of the spear. But since this was a national policy, there should be a national commitment towards the 170,000 American citizens that live outside the fence line here.
Outside the bases, Guam is not a wealthy place. Around 25% of the population live below the poverty line. With thousands of workers and their dependents set to descend upon Guam, there are real fears that already stretched public services like health and education just won't cope.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
In this classroom at a local primary school, the air conditioning is broken. As with all classrooms at this school, there's only one computer, usually out-of-date hand-me-downs from the military schools.
When they're obsolete with them, they give it to us, and we try to make use of it as much as possible.
We get their hand-me-downs.
Yeah, Uncle Sam, they got everything. They got all the money. They don't even have to worry about getting their paychecks late.
According to union figures, students here in the public system have $3,000 US a year spent on their education, while inside the base, it's $12,000 a year. This school is so strapped for cash that kids are rarely allowed to take home books, because if they're not returned, they can't be replaced.
Teachers have to use their own money to purchase items, like if there's no Xerox machine, no Xerox papers. So we have to go out and purchase the Xerox papers. Tissues, we need tissues, here in school. Children have runny nose and such, and so we request for tissues as well. Right now we don't have any paper towels here.
As part of the military build-up, more schools will be built on base. Principal Derrick Santos is worried this means he'll lose even more teachers to the military schools.
Payment is one. Number two, they get the supplies, materials. Number three, they get support. The equipments, they don't break down. They get all this, the financial situation with the federal and the military is always there versus our local government. We don't have that kind of support. It's not a priority.
To add to his concerns, Derrick Santos is expecting extra enrolments as workers and their families start arriving on Guam. But so far, there's no commitment for any extra cash.
If we don't get any more money to help maintain our facilities, get the equipments we need, get the supplies we need, get the proper number of teachers we're going to need, there's no way we can sustain the influx.
The future of Guam is being decided here in Washington, D.C. Retired Major General David Bice is in charge of the Joint Guam Program Office. He says that while he can't guarantee any money outside the fence line, it is a defence responsibility to help find solutions.
It is our role because we recognize that that Guam is a small place. It's a small island, and that we want this to be good for not just the Department of Defense. We want this to be successful for the people of Guam.
Debbie Quintana, however, is sceptical that enough will ever be done to break down what she calls the two-tier system.
The military and the federal government has managed to create two completely different classes of people. And it really truly is us and them. You have housing that is available on base that is extremely luxurious. Very self-contained little community with everything from McDonald's that are built on people's family land, making money off of our population, all the way to right on the gates where they have every facility, every resource available.
Go.
With the U.S. military presence coming in, the 8,000 Marines alone are going to be bringing in an annual payroll of about $300 million.
Local business groups are welcoming the build-up, and the price of real estate is already on the rise. But some believe this surge in housing prices is indicative of how locals will be left behind.
It will be beyond the reach of the local wage earner. It truly will be.
Public meetings about the build-up have been well attended.
Buenas and half a day. The town meeting will now come to order.
Major General Bice has been coming to Guam to listen to the views of the people.
And as you said, this is the largest military build-up in the history of the United States, and you're going to bring it to the littlest? Can we make some sense there?
I certainly understand the anxieties and frustrations expressed by Guam's elected officials and the public.
General Bice says Washington is listening to the locals. However, Guam Senator Judith Won Pat, who's followed the debate, says there's a strong feeling that the military is just paying lip service.
Well, sure, they may come and they'll listen, but it doesn't go anywhere because the military's mission comes first before the people in the community. That's how I feel, and I know a lot of the grassroots people feel the same way.
The people of Guam have a long history of serving in America's wars. It's this history of patriotism that has some believing the US will look after Guam and not allow the military build-up to destroy the island.
But we think that as good patriotic Americans, that as we continue our efforts will be rewarded.
You don't have anything more really than the power of persuasion, though, do you?
But it goes a long ways, though. I mean, that is in part why the Marines are leaving Japan. That's in part why the military had to leave Vieques over in Puerto Rico. And so at the end of the day, I think that that power of persuasion will come into play if we need it.
We are a strategic location, a possession, a bounty of war, and they will do exactly what they want to do, when they want to do it, and how they want to do it. And if we don't like it, I think that's just tough.